Podcast, episode number 83. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. I mean, what do you want me to say? You better come on in. Take a seat. Take a seat. You know what this is about today. You understand what's happening here. That's right. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. You know exactly what it is. I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell you. You know why you're here. You know why. I know why. You know why. We're gonna recap Canada and the United States and the four nations. That's what we're gonna talk about. There's nothing else. There's nothing else on the schedule. I know the NHL is coming back now. There's games on Saturday and Sunday. It doesn't matter. We're gonna talk about the four nations, specifically the final, and what an absolute beauty this whole tournament was. If you have no idea who I am, I find that hard to believe, but maybe the algo pulls you in here. Like I said, FuzzyChris91. You can follow me on X at FuzzyChris91, Slapshot Podcast on X as well, at Slapshot Podcast. Head over to the link tree. You can follow the podcast everywhere you get your podcasts. Drop a like, subscribe, follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the sub button, ring the bell. I appreciate you. Yeah, we just got to talk about this was a tournament, man. Does anybody miss the All-Star game? Because I most certainly don't. I don't. We were gifted something over the last 2 weeks. And sometimes, look, we take shots at the NHL here regularly because they do a pretty poor job of marketing themselves and the players. But this, home run. Absolute home run. There's no other sport that can do this, right? Football can't host a best of tournament because most football players play in the United States. Basketball, man. I heard All-Star Weekend was on for basketball. That sounds boring. Baseball could do it with the World Baseball Classic. We saw it, but like they could never host an in-season tournament like this. They already play 162 games. And their All-Star game may not be great, but at least it means something rather than nothing. But man, this was it. This was it. If you were afraid that this was going to be a tournament where nobody cared and they were just going to go out there and it wasn't important, boy, were you mistaken. This was everything we wanted it to be and probably more, right? We all know that Canada and the United States is one of the greatest rivalries in sport. Doesn't matter what it is, but especially for hockey. And again, with everything, I know you know, we don't, unless you live under a rock, you have no idea, but tensions are a little high right now between Canada and the United States, I would say, right? A little bit? Just a tad? You know, for fair reasons. We've heard it all as a Canadian. We took notes. We took notes. Don't worry. I took notes as to what people were saying, right? When Canada lost to the United States in the round robin, and some of you were taking a victory lap out there. I saw you. Don't worry. I saw it. And I waited. Right? Because the job wasn't over. Job's not done. We knew we'd get here. Right? We knew we would be here. There was no question about it. Canada was going to get their rematch. They were not going to drop it. No, sir. No, sir. You want to win a meaningless game, you go ahead and do so. But when it counts, that's when Canada shows up. And don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted, American hockey fans. This is our game. Always has been. Always will be. Don't get it twisted. 51st state? Nah, brother. You're lucky if you get to be the 11th province. You're lucky. That's probably the best you could do. But this was a fantastic. And let me just remind you how good Canada has been in best on best tournament. I mean, I'm happy the NHL did this. I'm so mad that Gary kept us away from best on best. Like, you know how much I hate Gary Bettman, and this reminded me why I hated him. Like, it's a love-hate relationship, and I'm back to hating him. But man, this is what it needed. Let me just refresh your memory. I know some of you have amnesia here. This is Canada and keeps their streak alive with the best on best tournament. So they win the Four Nations, right? Courtesy of Pierre LeBrun here. The World Cup of Hockey. How could you ever forget? The Sochi 24 Olympics. I know you didn't forget. I most certainly didn't, right? No, I didn't forget. Of course not. How could you forget? And then, of course, 2010 Vancouver, where guess what? The Americans beat Canada in the round robin. And then guess what happened? I know you know. I know. I'm not going to. Look, I've already been unbearable on X. If you're not following me, I don't blame you. I've been pretty unbearable, especially if you're a fan of Team USA. I'm just saying, I have been. And that's okay. You deserve it. That's it. This is a battle. But Canada remains the top country for a reason. Check yourself, okay? That's right. I want some respect around here now, all right? That's right. We're going to start using Celsius. We're going to start using the metric system. You're going to start calculating things in kilometers and centimeters, right? Meters. That's it, right? That's what we're going to do. Liters instead of gallon. Milk in a bag instead of in a jar or whatever you guys use there. Good Quebecois maple syrup instead of whatever you guys have down there. Right? That's it. Start spelling the words flavor and color with a U. That's right. Show us some respect around here. But yes, this tournament was fantastic. First off, massive round of applause, GGs to Team Finland and Team Sweden. There was ton of flu going around, and these teams showed up specifically to Team Finland. I know I had said on Total Hockey Now, because you obviously watched me there with Adam Bernard, I didn't know if Finland was going to win a game. And not only did they win one, but they kind of gave Canada a little bit of a scare there. But this Finland team reminded everybody that they are good. They deserve to be here. They do. And Team Sweden was very good. If you look at that round robin, separation of very, very little, right? That's what you wanted, a best-on-best tournament. Everything to be so close, where every single goal, every single point matters. And it did. Every single point mattered for Canada here to get them to the position they needed to be to close it out. So, again, massive W's. Here's the thing that I know. I know that hockey is the greatest sport in the world. I don't have to tell you that. But it was something to see on X and just people in general caring about hockey, right? From people who don't watch it. Let's forget about people who are using it for political reasons. Stuff let's forget those people. We don't care about them, right? Those are people just trying to stir it up a little bit. I'm talking about the casual fan, just tuned in and got hooked to it. Again, like I said, the geopolitical stuff probably added a little bit of gasoline to the fire, but you knew the fire was going to be there anyways. But it was fantastic to see people discovering hockey and what this sport is and how great it is to have the best players in the world on the ice at the same time. I will forever have in my memory now having watched Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, and Connor McDavid on the ice at the same time. I got to witness that. And I got to be part of history. That's what it is for me. It's part of history. I could have been on the right side or I could have been on the wrong side. But I'm not holding an L today. I'm not. I'm on the right side of history again. 15 years later, from the golden goal from Sidney Crosby to the Four Nations goal for Connor McDavid. I love it, man. I love it. Doesn't matter. I was cheering on Brad Marchand, which I didn't think was going to happen. I was cheering on Mitch Marner, who, by the way, had a great final game. Great. All of a sudden, I cared about the Tampa Bay Lightning and all their players, and John Cooper, even though those guys took a Stanley Cup away from the Montreal Canadiens. It didn't matter. We're all in this together. I definitely owe an apology. We're going to get to it later. Definitely owe an apology to Jordan Binnington because I did have some words, but I mean, he stood up on the biggest stage in the world, did his best Carey Price impression, and said, "Not today, son. Not today." That was what a fantastic performance. You talk about weight on your shoulders, having to carry a whole country that doesn't believe in you, but the only people who do are the guys in the locker room and your head coach who said, "Hey, this is yours. We're going to stick with you no matter what." And he delivered. That save he made on Brady Tkachuk, man, just wild. Best of the best. So let's go through some details here. Like I said, let's go through some of the stuff that happened. Again, I'm going to be taking some shots here today. So if you catch a stray, man, my apologies. Ish. Maybe. Let's go to the expected game graph here. So all of these graphs, by the way, courtesy of Money Talks. Is that it? Money Puck, sorry. All of these courtesy of Money Puck. MoneyPuck.com. Whole bunch of advanced analytics and stuff. I'll show you the website later. Let's take a look at the expected goals, all situation. So Canada was expected to score 3.07, USA 2.9. This was a close game. And you could see that right from the beginning. Look, I don't think Team USA gets enough credit in this game. They may have been the better team at a certain stretch. Canada took over, right? As you can see from here. They scored their goal early. What a shot from Nathan MacKinnon, man. What a dog, right? 4 goals in the tournament. MVP, which you already know because I gave out MVP. If you watched Total Hockey Now yesterday, because you did, you knew that I picked Nathan MacKinnon as an anytime goal scorer, which he delivered, and as MVP at plus 800. So right now, your pockets are probably heavy, right? Your jeans are like, they're sagging. You probably have to put on 2 belts to hold your pants up because there's so much cash in your pockets, right? I get that. They scored. USA came back, man. Brady came in. And then, like, Canada had it here. Credit to, again, Connor Hellebuck. We're going to get to him as well a little bit later. He was as advertised. He was the best goalie in the tournament. The only thing he couldn't do was score goals, but he kept his team in it. This is quite a gap here before the first period is over. Canada is just giving it to them. And then you see the gap start to slow down, right? And then you see USA gets one here. Jake Sanderson, man. Poor Jake Sanderson. With all that talk about Mike Sullivan is like, hey, Quinn Hughes might be coming around. I mean, Jake Sanderson might have logged into X and see all the different ways that he could have died or been poisoned. And yet he steps in after the Charlie McAvoy injury, which also, that was unfortunate, and then scores a goal. Like, good for him. Obviously, we're going to talk about Sam Bennett as well, because Sam Bennett now, like, I love him. That's it, man. Love him. And then, as you can see, the United States closed that gap. That third period, man, the United States came. They came. And in that overtime period, let's not lie. Let's not kid ourselves. Jordan Binnington is the reason. Those key saves that he made to give Canada the opportunity to get there. They waited so that Connor McDavid could get there and do what he needed to do, right? I'm going to show you the graph here again from moneypuck.com, okay? This is let me scroll up here a little bit so you guys can see. This is the expected goals, individual players, okay? I just want you to pay attention to those top names on the Canada side. Bennett, Marchand, Seth Jarvis. A lot of people were saying, hey, maybe Travis Konechny should have stayed in here. You know, he can throw his weight around. Not enough people give Seth Jarvis the credit. Quick guy, shifty, can score. That line, that Canada fourth line, if you want to call it, elite. You win championships when your fourth line is doing this, you win championships. When the Montreal Canadiens made their run, their fourth line was good. Canada's fourth line in this game, beyond fantastic. Look at this list here. Look at all the big names. For Canada, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. McDavid's down there. Crosby's down there. McKinnon's down there, Reinhardt. There wasn't much, but they stuck with it. They stuck with it. For Team USA, the big boys were there. Matthews, Tkachuk, Hughes, Gensel, Werenski, who led the tournament in points, by the way, 6 assists. All their best players were there. Puck just didn't go in the net when they needed it to. Now pay attention to Team USA's fourth line. Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, and Chris Kreider. Homie, I don't know what dirt Chris Kreider has on Mike Sullivan. I don't know if Kyle Connor is sleeping with Sullivan's wife. But here's how I see it, okay? Kyle Connor didn't play this game. And I thought that was a choice. Because Kyle Connor has probably never been the 13th forward in his life on any team. Right? He is an elite goal scorer by every sense of the word. And I know what Chris Kreider can bring. He's a guy who can go in front of the net, try to tip it in, maybe a little bit more physical. But Chris Kreider played a total of, okay, let me just make sure I get this right here. He played a total of 6 minutes and 25 seconds in that game. Okay, 6 minutes and 25 seconds. He was irrelevant. Now, on top of it, Matthew Tkachuk hurt himself. I don't think he took a shift in the last, after the 7-minute mark. I don't think he played the second half of the game. He didn't step on it. He played a total of 6 minutes and 47 seconds. Kreider saw 11 shifts. So some guys were banged up. Brady Tkachuk was banged up. Matthew Tkachuk clearly was. He was banged up. He still gave it a go. I don't fault him for saying, hey, man, I want to play. It would have been, you would have had to strap him to a pole to keep him off the ice. But if I know that he's a little bit banged up and there's a chance he can't finish the game, then I want to make sure I can replace that skill with Kyle Connor. So you knew Matthew Tkachuk could potentially hurt himself or not be up to the level to play. And then you played Chris Kreider for 6 minutes. So you, by default, ran 3 lines because your fourth line wasn't there. That was the difference to me. Jordan Binnington did his part. Canada's fourth line did their part. Sam Bennett was unstoppable. The goal that he scored, beauty. Excellent pass, by the way, from Mitch. Excellent. No question about it. Excellent. Mitch Marner was fantastic in this game. John Cooper, what does he say? Needs a spark here. He sees his best players. It's not working. It's not cooking. Puts Mitch Marner on that top line. In overtime. Boom. It's also a choice, America, to leave Connor McDavid all alone in the slot. Everybody's taking shots today at Austin Matthews because he was the guy who just ventured off into the corner when he should be responsible for his guy in the center of the ice. He wasn't. And then, lo and behold, it ends up in the back of the net. But this isn't on Matthews. It's a poor coverage in the defensive zone. It broke down. It happens. It happens. You take the good and the bad with your best players. Matthews, for most of this tournament, I think was pretty good. The goals weren't there. The production wasn't, but I don't think he played poorly. Just so happens that McDavid found some space, and you can't give him space. You just can't do it. So here, again, I just want you to understand how this goes. Right? I know we all talk about the superstars of the game and how important they are. And they are. Let's not get it twisted. But you win championships with your bottom 6. That's where championships are won. And you cannot say that isn't the case. That's where championships are won. Connor McDavid doesn't score his goal without Sam Bennett. So that's relevant, right? That moment never happens if it's not for Canada's fourth line being an absolute juggernaut on the ice. They dominated possession. They dominated pace of play. They were the better line most of the time when they were on the ice. How good? Well, couldn't stop them, right? I'm going to scroll down here so you can see that these are, and again, Money Pucks has some great tools here, right? All the line matching and everything. You can see all the different players that play together. Let me see if I can find Marchand, Bennett, and Jarvis, right? This is their Corsi. If you have no idea what Corsi is, it is basically measuring the number of shots you take that are unblocked versus the number of shots that you give up. They dominated possession, 73% Corsi, that line. Marchand, Bennett, and Jarvis, 73. When they're on the ice, things happened. They generated play. That's your fourth line. The guys that are supposed to go out there and just bang people around. They went out there and dominated. Complete domination from that line. Now, let's take a look at the defense here a little bit, right? Let's take a look a little bit at the defense here. Let's start with Canada. This is mostly the pairings that were together, okay? Again, Money Pucks will give you everything. But Von Taves, Cale Makar, right? They were really good. Their coursing of that game was, again, as it should have been. They were the best players defensively. They played their role. When they were on the ice, things happened. Shout out to Thomas Harley, by the way, because Harley played with Doughty. I didn't think Doughty had a great tournament, but Thomas Harley, not all heroes were capes. He had to come in, play Team USA, okay? Just off a plane, basically. Hey, you were on vacation? Come this way, buddy. We need you. Plays against USA. Plays well against USA, by the way. And then Josh Morrissey gets ill, wakes up from his nap. Homie's puking his guts out. He can't go. You're like, man, that's a blow. And then Thomas Harley steps in and says, don't worry, man. I got this. I got it. And he did. And look, for their Corsi to be that close, the on-ice shot attempts for and against to be that close, considering, again, he had to drag Drew Doughty around, that's pretty good. Travis Sanheim and Colton Parenko were good. You know, they played well. They played well enough to help their team. That's all that matters, right? But Taves and Makar led the way. This to me looks like you're a little bit more of your traditional defensive pairing, right? You got one line that's stacked. The middle pairing holds up. The bottom pair just don't be bad. That's it. All right. Let's take a look at Team USA quickly here, okay? Just let's give Team USA a little bit of credit here as well. Their defense was really good, okay? I don't think people understand just how good Jacob Slavin is. And this was his coming out party a little bit. We talk about how great it is to have awards for like the Norris for defensemen, but it's not given to the best defenseman, right? There needs to be an award for guys like Jacob Slavin because he was out there in every critical moment. And as you can see, he wasn't out there to generate offense. Him and Faber weren't there to push the puck up the ice. Faber's got the offense, but it wasn't there for him. Slavin is there to defend. This is why the Carolina Hurricanes are so good, by the way. They don't give up any goals. They got heavily outchanced when they were on the ice, which makes sense, by the way, because they had to go up against the best players in the world, right? Slavin was out there a ton against Canada's best player. The line that kicked in here, Zach Werenski, Jake Sanderson. On the ice, you know, Sanderson scored his goal. Yeah, they were on the ice when they gave up one. Things happen, right? But again, when they were on the ice, they produced offensively. 18 chances for, 13 against. That's what you want to see. I want Zach Werenski to be out there and create offense the same way he does in Columbus. Same thing Jake Sanderson has to do when he's in Ottawa. These guys are out here. You're going to have to take the good and the bad with them. And they gave it to you. Loved it. They went out there. They produced. Now, Noah Hannafin and Adam Fox, just the 2 goals against obviously sucks, right? They didn't really outchance their opponent. I feel like they were okay. This wasn't a great tournament for Adam Fox. Wasn't great for Noah Hannafin either. I didn't hear their names a lot. And on a stage like this, you kind of want to see a little bit more. I think there was a little bit more here for them. But this was a very good U.S. team. Very good defensively. I don't think there's I don't think there's a question about that, right? There's no question about it. And again, what could we possibly say about Connor Hellebuck and, like I said, Jordan Binnington that we haven't said already? You know? They're fantastic. They were fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, Jordan Binnington, an apology. He finished this tournament. I want to find it here. Okay. Let me pull this here. Jordan Binnington finishes this tournament with a .237 goals against average, a .907 save percentage. I know it's not fantastic, okay? And I know in comparison to Connor Hellebuck, who finished with a .159 goals against average, .932 save percentage. Connor Hellebuck gave up 2 goals in the tournament before yesterday's game. 2. That's it. Jordan Binnington played the most games of the goalies. He played all 4. Only goalie to do so. He won the most games. He won 3. That's it. It's 3-1. I know, man. I know. I doubted Jordan Binnington, but he reminded me. He said, "Don't worry, I got this." But when I had to get behind him, got behind him. Who knows who starts in the Olympics, but Jordan Binnington has proven to us that he can lead the team. It's not always going to be pretty, but he can do just enough so you can go out and have some success. Good for him. I would have turned to Aiden Hill after the USA game. I would have. And then Jordan Binnington would have never seen the net back. But again, John Cooper knows better. That's why I sit here and John Cooper has a law degree and he's down there. It's just, we're just not the same. We're not the same. And that's probably fair. This was a great, I can't reiterate it enough, man. This was a great tournament. I never want to see the All-Star game again. I can't. And look, for the casual fan who's tuning into hockey and wants to watch a little bit more, it's not always like this, okay? You're going to be real disappointed when you start having to watch some of these NHL games, okay? When you're going to have to start watching the Buffalo Sabres on a regular basis, or the Anaheim Ducks or the San Jose Sharks, or worse, the Anaheim Ducks playing the San Jose Sharks on a random Wednesday in February. I don't even know if they play each other again. But not every game is going to be as hype. But still, I feel like this is good for the sport. It's good. There's eyes here. There's eyes. Forget all the conflict and all that, like I said, all that right-wing stuff. It doesn't matter. I'm not focused about that. Right? That's just clickbait. You're trying to get people going. You're trying to feed into the hate and the rhetoric. It doesn't matter. Do I have some USA friends? Of course. Am I talking trash to them? Absolutely I am. They've already heard it. But now we can go back to just, enjoying hockey. I'm going to continue to enjoy hockey. I know you will too. If you watch this show regularly, we all enjoy hockey. But it's great to see. This was a massive boost because it came at the right time. And everything, it just accelerated. So I'm happy if you're a casual fan and you're just tuning in and you're like, hey, man, I love this. I want to watch more hockey. You do so. ESPN and TNT have got a lot of good prime time games that you can watch. If you're not a fan of a team, pick one. There's nothing wrong with that. Pick one. Or just by the way, guys, you can be a bandwagon fan. That's okay. You can decide when you get to the playoffs and say, hey, I'm a Vegas Golden Knights fan again. It's fine. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, man. You don't have to pick a favorite team. You can pick a favorite player if you want. Follow that player around. This is good for hockey. I am excited about it. Now, the next meeting Canada gets is obviously in the Olympics in Italy. And then the World Cup of Hockey. I want to see more teams in the tournament. Obviously, Russia can't be there for more political reasons. But I want to see some of these other countries, right? I want to see Czechia be part of it. There's some good players there. They could put together a very good team, all right? Or maybe you put together, a bunch of players who can't can't form a team altogether. I know they didn't want to do like, an under 23 like they did and an NA team. And I get why. That's okay. But I don't want to leave guys like Leon Draisaitl out of the tournament. Maybe we get him a Canadian visa. Huh? Leon, why don't we just change your passport over? Become an honorary Canadian. I don't know. But I want to see more teams in this tournament. And I don't know how they do that during the regular season. Maybe it can only be 4 nations. Maybe. I don't know if we'll ever see this tournament again. I don't know if we'll ever see a 4 nations as you will the way that we saw it this time. Maybe this was a one and done, and like I said, the World Cup, and then however many teams are in the World Cup, and then go from there. It's fine. I don't care. I want to see the best on best. It doesn't matter what country you're a fan of. I think we all can agree on one thing. Best on best needs to happen. These guys love to compete against each other at the highest level. They love it. You can't take it out of them. You can't take it out of me. I was sitting at the bar. I went to go see my buddy Cam. Shout out to McKibbin's. If you're in the Montreal area or outside, hit up your local McKibbin's. And my heart rate at points was just through the roof. I was ill. My buddy Cam at one point is like, hey, you want to play the box for a shot? And I was like, if I take another shot, I'm going to vomit. That's how nauseous I was. My poor heart at the age of 34 now can't take this kind of stress. But that's what it was. It was packed. Bar was packed. Ton of Canadians. I'm sure there were lots of bars in the United States as well. Packed. That's what you want to see. So this was a fantastic tournament. Kudos to the NHL. Kudos to the NHLPA on getting it done. Kudos to the players who are going. Right? You want to be there. You saw all kind of guys willing to get on planes and give up their trips to be part of this. Right? They wanted to be here. Thomas Harley could have been on a beach. Instead, he's got a gold medal around his neck. Yeah, it is what it is. But just remember, this is Canada's game. Always has been, always will be. If you're going to chirp, make sure you got hardware in your hand to back it up. If you don't have it, it don't count. Winning round robin games don't count. It's what you do at the end that matters. When it's all said and done, are you holding a trophy? Are you at the top of the podium? If you are, talk your smack. Go around, be as unbearable as you want. But until then, don't say a word. Nothing. Don't give them any bulletin board material. Don't tell them about the group chat. Right? Don't tell them about the group chat. It don't matter. I had a blast, man. This was great. I hope you tuned into a ton of it. I watched basically every single game of this tournament, and I'm glad I did. I didn't. There's lots of things that happen in life, but this was great, man. So I had fun. I hope you had fun as well watching it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Of course, if you've made it this far, hey, man, look, I love it, man. I love it. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yep. If you've made it this far, man, I appreciate it. If you haven't already on the YouTube, go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. Okay. I appreciate you. Follow me on X at FuzzyChris91. Follow the podcast on X at Slapshot Podcast. Go into the link tree if you want to listen to this instead of looking at my ugly noggin. Go ahead and do so. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you enjoy podcasting. So yes, we will do a podcast next week. I know I didn't do one the week before, but body's falling apart. It is what it is, right? But we will see each other next week. In the meantime, man, if you're a Canadian, man, hats off to you. Go out and celebrate. Let's get ready because now we got to go back to watching. I got to go back to watching the Montreal Canadiens power play. And it doesn't have Nathan McKinnon. It doesn't have Sidney Crosby. It doesn't have Connor McDavid. As Christian Dvorak at times. So I got to go back to reality. But like I said, I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out here. You guys have been the absolute best. What can I say, man? It's a great day to be Canadian, all right? Have yourselves a blast. We'll see each other soon.